this week's astrology. So this is for the 14th to the 20th of December, and this is really a week of growing pains. I know. So, you know, last Sunday, Monday, we had Mars in this really difficult karmic position known as Gandanta, where he was moving out of the waters of Scorpio into Sagittarius and stirring up energy around drive, around direction. And you might have found that the beginning of last week was really one where where you were called to be more flexible, to maybe let go of holding your plans so tightly so that you can be open to something bigger. Well, that energy is going to have two more activations in the form, actually three more, in the form of the sun, Venus, and the moon. And on top of it, this week we also have a new moon. So I want to start by talking about the sun, Venus, and the moon's Gandanta. So hitting that same point that Mars did last week. It's very much an energy of karmic unraveling. The sun is going to be Gandanta, so hitting that karmic knot Monday to Wednesday. The moon will be there just before the new moon on Friday. And then Venus will be there from Friday through to Sunday. So it's a really big workout this week. We're really being called to be flexible, to be open to greater harmony, to be giving up the need for things to be mine, to be so attached to outcomes, to be able to see that there's a way in which we can be in this world where we're of greater service to the people all around us. But this is going to require that energy of delusion, that ignorance to surface, and that can be quite painful. So they're all hitting that same point that Mars was Sunday through to Monday. So it's almost like you're being forced to look at a new direction in life. And on top of that, the sun's coming through. So like the soul is going through quite a big evolution this week. A new, almost like more of its energy blazing brightly. The moon is going to follow up, which is the mind. So it's like the mind having to really take on board greater flexibility, having to really surrender itself to something bigger than itself, which is always humbling. And then Venus pops through at the end of the week, and that's really like letting go of attachments, being open to new ways of understanding relationships, new relationships with money and possessions, which aren't so fixed, aren't so held. So, this, I really feel like this week, there's something very significant you were getting hints of last week, Sunday, Monday, which is being called to be unraveled. Even a decision that you made last week, which could have been conscious, but it could have equally been unconscious, or an action that you took, it now means that that action has a ripple effect where it's like now there's a shift in your identity that's going to come with it. How you see the world is going to change as a result of that action that was taken. What you value is also going to shift as well. And this action was necessary for your growth. So it's hitting, like I said, a karmic knot, which is known as a Gandanta point. There's three in the chart. And this particular Gandanta lives between Scorpio and Sagittarius. It really denotes the movement out of delusion, exhaustion, even, and even like the things that have been going on for you that have just been burning you out. And the shift that's being made is into one of peace and greater harmony, but there's often something we've got to give up in order to get there. And we don't always want to. Now, the highest expression of this planetary movement that's going on this week and was going on last week is really one of non attached action, of understanding that, like, the purpose of life is not about removing all karma from your life. That's impossible. The purpose of life is understanding that you're coming home to yourself. And with that, the mind and the body will always have karma, it keeps them alive. But when you are present, when you are surrendering your action to a greater calling, to a greater purpose, to the divine, to something bigger than the ego, the self, and its personal preferences, um, you're not creating as much karma. Um, but there's also a way in which you get called to see the world in greater connection, yourself in greater connection to the world. So just be aware of that. Um, there can be tension with the sun, with Venus and the moon that really requires you to get comfortable with this inner peace. It can feel a little bit uncomfortable. And being okay with not having to go, go, go. Um, and even getting really comfortable with that promise we can sometimes make to ourselves, like, if you just get this thing done, then you can relax. It's like letting go of that way of being where effort is expended and the reward is rest or doing nothing. Instead of this like back and forward between like action and rest and action and rest, this is really a period of time going like, hey, what if we just look at what's in harmony? What if we just look at how the places where you're exhausted is because you're expending energy, which is going against your nature, which is not giving you energy, which isn't serving anything bigger than you. So there can be hard decisions to make in that. Um, it's really about cleaning up what isn't working. And what's really important, the sun, as it does its Gandanta dance from Monday to Wednesday, it will move into alignment with the Galactic Center, which is where the new moon will be when it occurs on Saturday. It's huge. The Galactic Center is the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, and it sits right in the bow and arrow, right at the arrow end of the Sagittarius constellation. That's where this new moon will be. So just know that when the new moon takes shape on Saturday, Venus will be Gandanta, and it will be really, the new moon will be helping you get to the bottom of an issue, a problem, even removing yourself from things that don't serve you anymore. It's a moon there to give you clarity, to understand the tension from earlier on in the week, from the sun's position on Monday to Wednesday. And this is the type of tension and understanding which creates liberation. And it's really about, I feel like in a way, the tension being created this week is there to allow you to be open to the necessity of distraction as a means to clean up, to remove and to allow new energy or new understanding in. Very often when we hold on to things in our lives, we stay caught in these patterns and we're not always able to see that. We stay caught kind of like protecting ourselves from the world. And in a way, the planetary movement into these Gandanta points is like remove that protection, like embrace being more vulnerable in the world. See that the world is there for you. It's helping grow you. Now, this new moon will be in, like I said, in Sagittarius in Mula Nakshatra. It's the first nakshatra of Sagittarius. It's ruled by the South Node, and the South Node is sitting in Leo in Purva Falguni. So you might find that some of what you need to release is around soul contracts, relationships, particularly relationships that have completed their karma. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, come along and join the ritual and reading. You'll receive a personal written reading, a pre-recorded sacred practice working with Nritti or Kali, who's the goddess that rules Mula Nakshatra, as well as an astrology forecast. I'll put the link below. Okay, let's do it. Sunday, the 14th of December today. We're starting the week with the moon in Virgo. Now here, because the moon represents the mind and the mind reflects the soul, like the moon reflects the sun, the mind reflects the soul. The mind here can be discerning, can be very good at analyzing information. It's a good day to get into an Excel spreadsheet if that's part of your job. Can be good at collecting information, but note, the mind can get very easily overwhelmed on Sunday. And as it starts to think through the detail of things, it can start to spin stories about the future, and even like a future that won't happen. So and this like spinning can kind of create a bit of rumination and it can make the adrenal system a little bit uneasy. So really be gentle upon yourself. Try your best not to stress yourself out, to put pressure on yourself, to work out all the details of your week or what you've got to do on Monday, because your adrenal system and nervous system is just extra sensitive today. It's super hypersensitive. So the moon will be moving from Hasta to Chitra Nakshatra, both in Virgo. So what you can find is at the start of Sunday, I'd be saying, do your best not to meddle. Even if plans don't look like the way you want them to look, just try not to use your inner hands to fix things, to control them, or to obsess if they're right or correct. Just give it time to sort itself out. Instead, keep your hands open to really see the blessings of the day, the blessings of the way in which things are working out, even if they go against the preferences that you had or how you want things to be. Just really also notice on the first half of Sunday where you're trying to control and how that need to control might actually be the root of your problems. Now, in the afternoon, the moon will be moving from Hasta Nakshatra to Chitra, and that makes the end of Sunday incredibly creative. It's a day to, and actually, no, like the whole of Sunday, very creative, even with Hasta. It's this energy of like making things with your hands, crafting, writing, doing pottery or ceramics, making gifts for people or wrapping gifts. It's really about like harnessing that universal creative intelligence into a creative act, into material form. And you can find even like when the moon moves into Chitra, so in Australia, that will be around the middle of the day. In Europe and New York, you'll have the moon in Chitra for the entire day. You can find that you're actually called to create something for your home, create in your home, or to use your creative energy to somehow create more belonging or like an energy of more belonging within your home. And also on Sunday, Mars is going to aspect Neptune. It means it will square Neptune. So it'll be 90 degrees from Neptune. Because of that, you can find that kind of like Sunday evening, even Saturday evening, there's some pretty intense dreams related to your direction, even if they're metaphors about the direction that you're heading. And it can particularly relate to energy that was being stirred up on Sunday, Monday, when Mars was Gandanta last week, when there was kind of that need to be more flexible in your actions. Um, so just notice if that comes up. And here you can also find, while Mars aspects Neptune, there's the need to resolve conflict that you're going through. It can help you get to the bottom of something that's been intuitively nagging you, to see even that like your actions are the result of all actions taken before you, of your ancestral lineage and the vasanas that you carry from your ancestry. So move today in a way, and act today in a way where you're not meddling, where your actions bring harmony and peace to yourself and without the need to prove anything to anyone else as best you can. So, Monday, the 15th of December. Now, Monday's a big day. Ugh. The sun is going to start its Gandanta. It will start hitting that karmic knot. It's going to get within a couple of degrees of the point where, of like the couple of final degrees of Scorpio, and then the first half a degree of Sagittarius. That's kind of the Gandanta point. Now, let's start with the moon before I jump into the sun. The moon is going to move into Libra on Monday, which can make it a day which is really filled with indecision. So, Sunday, Monday, not great days for making decisions, more days for collecting information and data about your environment. And Monday, it's really about, it's a great day for diplomacy. If you need to adjudicate between two things, if you need to make a judgment on what's fair or not fair, great day for that. Really good day. It's a great day for seeing both sides of a story, for finding balance in your life, and even being open to that balance, for enjoying your relationships with others, for seeking intimacy and connection with the people in your life. Now, within Libra, the moon is going to be moving from Chitra, because Chitra sits across Virgo and Libra, into Swati Nakshatra. And as it enters Swati, the energy, you'll feel it within you. It kind of goes from wanting to be creative to being a little bit disruptive, because Swati kind of has this overthinking energy to it. So the moon in Swati, which Europe and America will be feeling from the start of Monday, Australia kind of halfway through the day, there can be this tendency to overthink, to ruminate, and you can find that you're actually living in this dream world of like your thoughts, none of which is real. So you can find that your thoughts are actually separating you in your relationships, they're separating you from the truth of what's going on around you. And so it's a day that can bring necessary destruction. Like you can find that there's good karma from past lives that pop up that allow you or help you let go of something. That might be thinking or a thought you've been grasping onto, or an attachment, but it could also be like an inner block, maybe a way you've been treating yourself which isn't particularly nice, or even at the deepest level, well, not the deepest level, at a physical level, you can find that it might also be that like if there's an illness or a well-being problem you've been working with, that this day actually helps through its destructive energy release something in the body. Now, it's the perfect day. You might find in the atmosphere there's a lot of wind, but it's the perfect day to use the moon's energy to travel, to share your ideas with others, through learning, teaching, distributing information, or like a newsletter or a blog. And you can even find for some of us, if we have a very prominent Swati placement in our chart, there can be major life changes that we need to embrace, which will ultimately benefit our well being. I'd just be saying, if you notice yourself popping up here into your head and overthinking things, go and move. Run, exercise, weights training, strength, get out and walk. It will help the mind balance itself. Now, the big thing on Monday, the sun is Gandanta. It starts its Gandanta. It's yeah, moving from Scorpio to Sagittarius, like I said. And I'll just mention the timings for the Gandanta. You can write it down. You can normally feel it. Like I definitely can. Like it's normally like a sense of tension. It will be reflected externally in the world as just like things not going how you want them to go. Even having experiences which really force you to confront yourself, your identity, what you believe, your preferences. So if you're in Sydney, the Gandanta will start on the 15th, so on Monday at 3:10 p.m. and it will go till the 17th at 4:50 a.m. If you're in Rome, it will go from Monday at 5:10 a.m. until the 16th at 6:50 p.m. And if you are in New York, it will go from 11:10 p.m. on the 14th until 12:50 p.m. on the 16th. So you can just keep those dates in mind. You can even like write it down. So if you know that things are just going a little bit crazy, you're all good. Just got to breathe through it. So here, the sun is demanding purity for you to face like a deep sense of inattention. And that can manifest because this Gandanta point is related to this karmic knot up here in the third eye. So you can find there's a lot of tension up here. And it's really this calling to move out of your way, to move out of your own ignorance, to move out of your own wrong thinking or the way you've been projecting or seeing the world that's not accurate. It's not serving you. And it can also be like letting go of thoughts like the way in which you might subtly feel like you're a victim of the world, or like the world is against you, or like people are lying to you, like that kind of paranoia that no one's supporting me. That could be a really strong thought form that comes up with this Gandanta point. And even just the sense of feeling unlucky. The sun is actually calling to burn through this. That's why it's got so much tension in it. To see that your thinking creates these conditions, that the world isn't against you. The world is always working for your liberation. And this is a point at which it is helping. Now, you can find over the next few days while the sun is in that Gandanta point that things happen in your life which do feel unlucky, or like almost this sense of like not getting what you deserve, or not being able to enjoy something you felt you were owed or felt you were due. And there can be a lot of inner churning as the mind is forced to see the reality. And, the mind can often want to reject what's right in front of it. So that's where that churning energy comes from. I'd be saying, like, listen to it, listen to the churning. What is it like? What wisdom does it have for you? This Gandanta point is an opportunity to really shift your psychology, to move deeper into connection with yourself. And the universe isn't working against you, it's actually giving you the perfect circumstances to do that. But like no one got enlightened through everything going their way. I'll leave it at that. So, the sun, like I said, it's really demanding purity. It's moving into a sattvic part of the zodiac. So here you can find that, like the shadow, the subconscious thinking that you've maybe been projecting onto the people around you, you start to see it lives within you, which can be very confronting. You can see how you argue with reality and how you might even be standing in the way of your personal power by thinking you're a victim. It's the most disempowering thing we can do, and I do it. Um, Now, just to note, the first part of this Gandanta, when the sun is in Scorpio and heading towards the end of Scorpio, it's ruled by Mercury. So it can really force you to work with your mind, your intellect, and to see the mud, the shadow, the frustration, the tension as the place where wisdom blooms. To really see that we have to go through those hard situations for wisdom to bloom. And I'd be saying, like, the remedy for today, if you're really feeling it on Monday, is worship and devotion, bhakti. Get the mind to focus on something bigger than its own thoughts. To give yourself a break. And you can find this as a day to really purify japa, mantra, puja, meditation, but also it's a great day to purify the home, to clean up what's in the home as almost like a material manifestation of cleaning up what's in the mind. Now, on the 16th, on Tuesday, the moon is going to continue in Libra and it's really calling for peace. The sun is still going to be Gandanta, so there's still tension. Like the mind and the soul are almost like doing different things, and you can find there's quite like it's almost like there's a big evolution going on within you with understanding your true nature. And the mind is really looking for harmony. There can be a certain level of overthinking that takes place today, particularly around money, material goods, even triggers that you have maybe in conversation with people around your self-worth, asking for a pay rise and not getting it. It's that type of energy. So it's important with the moon in an air sign in Libra to really ground, to connect with nature. And like I said with yesterday, it applies today, really focus on things that are bigger than the mind, that will stop it from ruminating or at least break that circuit, a bit like what happens when we dream. And that can be like mantra, singing, getting in the ocean for a swim, if it's warm enough to do that where you are. Now, the moon will be moving from Swati Nakshatra to Vishaka. These are two nakshatras in Libra. And so it's a day where there can be a lot of wind, a lot of overthinking still from yesterday, kind of like ruminating, but it will start to settle towards the end of the day. And there can even towards the end of the day be a sense of optimism, a call to zoom out, to see things in a new way, and even like a deep-seated tenacity to stick with the problem, to overcome what's in front of you just simply by dedicating yourself to it. You can find also with this movement, with this placement of the moon, there's really incredible flashes of insight and wisdom that come to you, an ability to see that what you're harvesting in your life is a result of seeds that you've laid, not just in this life, but in previous lives, and not the result of bad luck. Like nothing is bad luck, nothing is good luck. It just simply is a result of action. Now, this is a moon where there can be a longing to connect with maybe an overseas friend or a soulmate or deep soul connection, to travel, a yearning to learn more and to connect within. Now, like I said, the sun is still Gandanta, but it will have moved out of Scorpio into Sagittarius in the first part of Sagittarius in Mula Nakshatra. Now, the sun will be in Mula Nakshatra until the 29th, but it will be out of Gandanta as of tomorrow. So Tuesday, it's our last big push from the moon, um, to really like work through this karmic knot. Now, the energy of Tuesday can be slightly different to Monday in terms of the tension being stirred up. There's still the sun is really asking for purity, asking for harmony, and it's calling for you to dive deep into what was stirred up yesterday, for you to really get to the bottom of it. And similar to yesterday, you can find that the mind still spins that story of like, I'm not being supported by my friends and family or loved ones. But consider that that lack of support is because you're not supporting yourself, that it starts with you, that the support you're looking for is actually from you within. Um, and that's part of the lesson. Now, when the sun moves into Sagittarius, it's going in Mula Nakshatra is ruled by the South Node. So there's quite a lot of past life karma that you can find coming up as part of this knot on Tuesday. And I'd be saying there's a lot of karmic energy coming up, relationships, intimate partners, soul contracts, getting to the bottom of these, particularly where there's something that needs to end, maybe disagreement or tension around relationship that needs resolution, you need to get the heart of to unravel so it stops repeating itself. And it can also relate to energy with maybe someone you have a fleeting romance with, a crush, or even a childhood friend, or even children if you have them. Just be careful with your own destructive abilities. Today's a day, Tuesday's a day to prune, not take the whole tree out of the ground, if that makes sense. Wednesday, the 17th of December, the moon is going to move from Libra to Scorpio. That movement will happen halfway through the day in Australia, which means it will start the day in Scorpio in Europe and the US. And, the moon in Scorpio doesn't love being in Scorpio. I mean, I don't mind the moon in Scorpio. It feels kind of good. So the moon in Scorpio is intense, passionate, deep, courageous. It's able to go to places that you might normally resist in life, to have conversations, to think about things like death, secrets, the darker things that happen in life, power, issues of control that maybe you normally shy away from. It brings a lot of that courage. At the same time, the mind can be a little bit paranoid and a little bit overthinking because the moon and Mercury are going to be sitting together, which is not the easiest placement. So it'll be in Vishaka for most of the day. That's the nakshatra. It sits across Libra and Scorpio, the beginning of Scorpio. And it's really calling for you to see the seeds you've planted, to notice what you're harvesting today based on actions that you took in a previous life in particular. Um, and even like reactions to actions that you've taken in the past coming back for you to see. It's a day that can bring lightning and heat in the atmosphere. And you can find that you really need to deal with the fruits of your own karma when it comes to secrets, information that you've maybe withheld, or others have withheld from you. Knowing something needs to end. Yeah, like even, I should say, like, it's even that energy of like, knowing something needs to end and maybe you haven't told other people your decision yet. Like you've been withholding that and now you need to say it. You might find that there's a big focus of this moon's energy around money, financial matters, and property. The Gandanta will end on Wednesday with the sun. So it will finish that karmic knot. You can find that there's plenty to digest on the back of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Um, and just pay attention because Venus and the moon are going to hit that same point on Friday, Saturday, and Venus will still be there on Sunday. So you can find that there's still like a ripple that happens from all the sun has stirred up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that you then deal with at the end of the week. The other thing happening on Wednesday, which I'm quite excited about, Mercury retrograde shadow will end. Basically, we're out, we're fully out of retrograde period. The shadow is generally a period where we integrate the lessons of Mercury retrograde, which took place during November. And now we're out of it. So this is really like a new period, new lessons around how you speak, how you communicate your truth, how you listen. And it's really thinking through this idea that like there should be some resolution from what happened during Mercury retrograde, and now you're stepping into new energy. Okay, Thursday, 18th of December. Moon continues in Scorpio, and it's moving to the middle of Scorpio to Mula Nakshatra. It's not the easiest place for the moon to be because it's being forced to face some pretty big truths. And added to that, the moon is like malefic as it's heading towards a new moon because it's losing its light. So just be careful of how you might be deluding yourself or not seeing the full picture. There can be, you can find that in this place, like while the moon is in Anurata in Scorpio, the best way we can use the energy is to be devotional. The mind can naturally want to worship, and you can find that there's the opportunity to focus it towards the divine, to focus it towards something bigger than itself. Now, the moon is still going to be sitting with Mercury, so just be aware there can be a lot of overthinking and ruminating energy, and that overthinking can almost lead to like a level of paranoia or superstition, which isn't like an accurate read, but just be aware that's how the mind can show up. And if that's what you find, it's the perfect day. Just write down what's coming up for you. You just want to get that energy out of the head. Now, pay attention as well today because you can find that there's some energy repressed around your childhood, secrets around lovers, um, that want to come to the surface, as well as the mind is really demanding a creative outlet. It's also looking for balance in its relationships, for you to see God in the people that you're in relationship with, to worship and honor the higher power behind them, not their personality self, but who lives behind them, who powers them. But this requires some effort. Just be careful, like I said, with the moon waning. It's malefic. You can just be careful of believing everything the mind tells you, particularly like what it thinks about others or what it thinks other people are hiding from you, or issues to do with property and money. Maybe there's a relationship energy going on there. Just wait until next week to make a judgment on what the mind tells you. Now, Friday, the 19th of December is huge. It's Venus Day. Venus rules Fridays, and Venus is going to be Gandanta, and the moon is going to be Gandanta too. It's a double whammy. They're both moving from Scorpio to Sagittarius together. It's churn, baby, churn on Friday. I mean, it's been churn at the beginning of this week too. So first of all, with the moon, we have the new moon Tithi, on Friday, which means the energy is most potent for the new moon, which will peak on Saturday. This particular moon is, well, the new moon, as well as this particular new moon falling in Mula Nakshatra, is ruled by Kali. So a double whammy from Kali demands truth, letting go, realizing the futility of arguing with reality, and the amount of stress that actually brings. The moon will be in Scorpio for the day, and it will move from Jyeshta Nakshatra, which is the final lunar mansion of Scorpio, with Venus. And that's when it will be Gandanta, when it's moving out of the last degrees of Scorpio with Venus into Sagittarius. There can be a lot of inner churning around your sense of worth, value, and in the material realm, money, possessions, things you own, things you want to own, things you own in partnership with each other. This is where the churning is happening. And at the same time, it can bring to the surface ignorance around the mind related to these things, like the lies it tells, the way it pushes against reality in order to keep its identity intact. Now, this churning is really around what you value and how those values impact what you think about the world. And you can find that your values are actually changing. The things you thought you wanted might not be what you want anymore. The big house that you thought you wanted, maybe it's no, it just doesn't make sense anymore. The amount of money you thought you needed also doesn't. It's that type of like letting go of that attachment. Now it can bring to the surface old thoughts around places where you didn't get what you wanted in love, relationships, with money, like a car, a house. And it's really a call for you to feel what you've repressed and also witness how not getting what you want in the past has actually been a brilliant stroke of luck for something deeper, more spiritual to take place. Now, on Friday, Venus will be Gandanta. Yes, it'll be sitting with the moon. The moon will be Gandanta, but so will Venus. And Venus will be at that karmic knot for a longer period of time, going from Scorpio to Sagittarius. So I'm going to give you the times to watch. In Sydney, Venus will be Gandanta on Friday from 10:12 p.m. until the 21st at 4:45 a.m. In Rome, from Saturday at 12:12 p.m. until the 20th at 6:45 p.m. And in New York, from Friday at 6:12 a.m. until the 20th at 12:45 p.m. So, Venus Gandanta, what do? Go easy. It's a period where you can find that that the changes in direction that were coming through last week, the changes in how you're seeing the world, which were coming through at the beginning of the week, and what you've been forced to give up or how you've been forced to get flexible is actually changing and shifting what you value and what you're actually attracting into your life. It's like your relationship to people, money, how you valued yourself is shifting. And it feels like Venus can stir up, particularly on Friday, a lot around money and possessions, even a deep sense of lack and unlucky energy around that. That will shift tomorrow, but just be aware it's a part of the lesson. Now, the sun on Friday is going to be conjunct the Galactic Center, which is really big because it's new moon Tithi, and the new moon will peak on Saturday. But just be aware, aligned with Kali or Nriti, the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, it's the divine mother that's beyond time and space. The energy can feel, it's almost like the energy is demanding presence. It's demanding you to level up with everything going on with Gandanta. All of these sheaths and energy around your development. The sun sitting with the Galactic Center is like, be present with what happens, find stillness and understanding, and even move beyond the mind and the thoughts. And you might find there are moments you get that on Friday. Now, finish the week on Saturday. It's a big week with the new moon in Sagittarius constellation in Mula Nakshatra, which means the sun and moon are aligned with the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. And it represents a new moon, which is destructive. It's deeply spiritual. And when I say destruction, I mean like destruction of attachment, destruction of the things that keep you from knowing the divine within you. And this new moon, it really deals with past life energy around love, relationships, and Renuna Bandhana. That's like contract energy we've got with other people, accumulated karmic energy with others, kind of like soul contracts. And it can really call for you to get to the bottom of this, and not necessarily with the new moon, but over this coming lunar period, which will last 18 months. It's really like about getting to the bottom of your relationship patterns, getting to the bottom and pruning and destroying attachments that are hindering your own spiritual progress and growth. Now, if you want to learn more about that, I'll mention again the Mula new moon or Sagittarius new moon and Mula Nakshatra ritual and reading link is below. You'll receive a personal written reading, sacred practice working with Kali / the goddess Nritti, and a full astrology forecast. Now, also on Saturday, Mercury enters Jyotish. It's the final nakshatra in Scorpio. And that means that Mercury is going to be the final personal planet to hit a Gandanta point, but that's not next week. It'll be the week after. So we get a week's break. Thank God. Now, Mercury actually rules Jyeshta. And so it can bring agitation to the mind, dissatisfaction. It's calling for you to look at the bigger picture, to look at what you need to shift to understand the world. So if you think about it in a lineup, it's like last week, Mars got you to be more flexible around your direction, to give something up, to take action, to let go of something. Sun comes through the beginning of this week and it's like soul evolution, to give something up, to let go of an attachment. Venus and the moon do the same. So the mind and what you're actually calling into your life, what you're attracted to, what you value is changing. And then Mercury will come through not next week, the week after, and it will be like the intellect is going to catch up to that energy. How you communicate that change to others, maybe even how you digest all of that change. You'll be able to get to a point of maybe having the conversations that go with that change that you've made, if you haven't had to have them already. Now, Mercury is going to be in Jyeshta till the 29th of December, the end of this end of this month, which means the Gandantas are going to be right at the end of this year. Now, you might find it feels like the universe is testing you while Mercury's here in Jyeshta. Maybe things don't go your way when you communicate your ideas, or you don't get the reception you thought. In conversations, it's almost like you simply can't explain what you mean, or it's not received the way you want it to be received. Or you get news which feels unfortunate or unlucky that you've been hoping wouldn't come, or you've been hoping would go another way. Don't judge it by its cover. Don't judge it on face value, because you can find that this is actually setting you up for something much bigger. You just can't see it yet. Now, Venus in her Gandanta is going to enter Mula Nakshatra, which means she moves into Sagittarius, where she'll be till the end of the year on the 31st of December. And this means that Venus is going to join the Sun and Moon in Mula Nakshatra. She's working with the energy of the new moon, aligning herself with the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And she's really helping, like Saturday, shifting energy around relationships, love, and attachment to romance and love, and past life energy associated with that. Here you can find there is the call actually to break apart relationships, to destroy what isn't working. But it's not through force. It's not like a forced destruction. It's through forgiveness and compassion. You can also get to the root of what you've been processing this week on Saturday, how your values are shifting, how they might not align anymore with people you're in relationship with. And there can be a sense of light at the end of the tunnel. After all the processing this week, you can find that you're really understanding the value of this being and the value that you bring to relationships, um, through the painful lessons you need to digest, or you have been digesting this week and even prior to this week. And at the heart of it is like this dawn of a new type of understanding of love and of yourself. So I'll just quickly mention this week is big, right? But next week there's a bit of breathing space. So I would be saying, if you don't have a practice like meditation, mantra, or you can get more complicated, but if you've fallen off the wagon with your practice, or you don't have a practice, this is a great week to start. It'll really help the mind be anchored into something bigger than itself, or at least be a circuit breaker for the cosmic energy that's being stirred up. Finally, I'll mention that if you want to see what 2026 has in store for you, or you're looking for a unique gift to give a friend, I've got one-on-one readings available, as well as gift certificates for one-on-one readings. The link is below. Finally, if you're really into Venus, she is in the process at the moment of moving from morning star to evening star. I'm going to be running a cosmic meditation on the 7th of January with her star point, which is where she meets the sun, and she'll then move to being an evening star. Um, we'll be looking at her mythology, which stretches back to Atlantean civilization. I'll put details below if you feel the call to work with her. Anyway, I hope this week you have the courage, the wisdom, and the determination to know yourself and to really work with the cosmic energy, understanding it is there for your enlightenment.